Today I want to go through a quick fix for Survival Game Kit and the Advanced Locomotion system. And this is something that's actually been there the whole time, but until you get the full integration done, you wouldn't notice it. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at what is happening. So the character, as you can see, when you start sprinting, if you did the full integration, it should normally go down. But at the point when you hit the minimum of 0, you notice that it doesn't slow the character down. It just keeps having the numbers go up and then back down to 0 and up to 10 and back down to 0. But your character never actually changed speed, and it does a similar type of thing with the weapon as well. It'll continue running, and it doesn't actually affect the character's overall movement with the stamina system. It is correctly detecting it. So it's going up and down correctly, but it never changes it. So let's quickly just go through and implement some fixes that'll make that operate in the way that I think you want it to. So first, we'll need to begin by opening up the player inventory component. This will be under the Survival Game Kit section. So in the search folder for there, just type in player inventory, and you'll see that there's only one item. So in this window, we're first going to want to change a setting because we're going to be calling the ALS gate event, which is pretty much the running, walking, sprinting mechanic for ALS. And when we do this, we want to refer to that ALS-based character. One thing I've noticed here is there's some referrals to the master character, and what we can do is actually have those go to the base character because that will include the master character. So first I want to do set master character. Just search for that in the find results while you're in the player inventory component. There should be 3 results that come back here. Go ahead and open up the first one, and you'll see that it gets owner, it casts the BP underscore master character, and then it sets it. Well, since the master character is the parent of the base character, we can go ahead and just change this, and it'll be in 3 places that we do it. We'll change this to cast to ALS based character. So from this get owner, drag out to the right on the return value and type cast to ALS base character. You'll see a very similar node to the one you had before. So what you want to do is just control click, so control left click the exec and drag it down on the input and the output. Put them in a similar location on the other, and then where it says ALS based character, go ahead and drag that to the master character. Now, there's still an issue. If you look at this master character, its variable type is master character. The name is master character and the variable type. So we want to hit this variable type up here, hit the drop down, and search for ALS base character. See that there's a reference there. Go ahead and click it and accept changing the variable type. So now we have pretty much replaced that BP underscore master character node for the first one, that cast. Go ahead and delete it, drag up and have it in a similar place. Now when we hit compile, we should receive 2 errors. And they'll be saying that those other 2 references are not properly casting to this master character because the type has changed. So we'll wait for this compile. This is a fairly large blueprint, so it'll take a second here to do. And now you'll see those errors. Go ahead and click on the first set there, and you'll see we have a very similar looking screen to the first one with the cast to the master character. So what we want to do once again is just drag off of get owner, cast to ALS, control click and drag those inputs and outputs, then drag the ALS based character to the master character reference, and then hit delete. We compile one more time, and we should be down to 1 error. I'm not super concerned that this is called master character. If you wanted to, if you didn't like the fact that it's called master character, even though it's referring to ALS base character, you could name it to base character if you'd like. But just in case you're copying and pasting and doing things in the future with survival game kit things, and perhaps you don't want, you're going to be following those DIY, those do-it-yourself tutorials, and they say go find the master character variable. You may want to keep it the same name just so you don't confuse yourself in the future. So once you've compiled, you should have that one remaining error. Go ahead and click set on that. And let's do the exact same process again. So cast to ALS, control, click and drag, and just replace those references. Compile and save that, and it should operate exactly the same. At this point, it doesn't seem to affect any other of the mechanics. So we can go ahead and test this very quickly. The main thing I would want to test is maybe a building component. We'll go place some items and just make sure that it's operating as intended. Okay. Give this a second. All right, so let's go ahead and pick up this crafting bench, for example. Place that. That seems to place correctly. I'm going to pick up blueprint, pick up some wood, and then we'll just test that we can place a foundation. All that seems to operate correctly. So I'm pretty comfortable that this has not broken anything, and the rest of the blueprints are all going to operate how you expect them just by changing that ALS base character. So now we have one step that we need to do to be able to make the character actually change speed when they run out of stamina. So first of all, what we can do is do a quick search for under find result. I'm going to search for a variable called use stamina system. There should only be one reference here. And this is a Boolean. So what it is doing is if in your settings for the player, you don't want to use the stamina system, you have a checkbox that you click that makes it so it bypasses the whole thing. And so this is a good place to look at, because this is where, after this point, where all of the stamina system starts. If you didn't want to use the stamina system, it would just go here and remove it from the items on the GUI. And then if you do want to have it, it does all these other things. And I've narrowed it down to one place that we need to add a node. And it's right here at the end. But we need to use that reference for the master character that we just had. So in the upper left, let's do a search under the My Blueprint. And you'll see that reference. So type in master, and you'll see master character there. Drag that out and hit get. Or if you wanted to, you can right click in an area of the blueprint and just search for get master character. You'll see that these do the exact same two references. So we're going to take one of these. I'm just going to place this one right here. Then I will drag blueprint to the right a little bit where it's clear and invalidate timer. Let's drag off a master character, and we're going to do a set ALS gate. You'll see the set ALS gate event. You'll want to click that. And then with the new ALS gate, you want to set that to running. So this will be the speed that after you run out of stamina, it drops back to running. We're assuming that if you're holding down shift, you're sprinting. If you're not holding down shift, you're running. If you're doing a walking and your sprint action is actually making you run rather than walk, you could make this walk. But in most cases, this will be running that you want to set this to. So you'll see on the right here, the input for that clear, we need to move that to the beginning of the set ALS gate event. So control click on that, drag it over to the beginning of the set ALS gate event. And then the output, go ahead and drag that into the location that you just moved it from. So we now have the set ALS gate event going to running, and then it is continuing to the exact same location it would have done before. The reason that we're putting it here is because if we would have placed it perhaps after this check here for stamina, so it's saying is stamina less than 0, but actually it's less than equal 0. It's a little bit different than their description. But if it's less than or equal to 0, well, then it's going to come up here and do this event. If it isn't, it's going to decrease the stamina over time. And then it's going to update that stamina. And then once it hits less than or equal to 0, so the same check as before, it will then do whatever is after this. And you see, here's the point where both of those would have done the exact same thing. So we could have either put it in here twice and then had them both come to this one, or we can put it here once. Creates less blueprints, easier to understand, and a very clean way, I think, to have this fixed. Let's go ahead and test it out really quick. And let's see if it's now operating in the way that we would expect. Okay, so starting to sprint. And then we'll get it to 0 and let's see what happens. Okay, so you see that it went back to a normal run. And it continues at that run because I have not let go and press shift again. If you really wanted to have it kind of shift back and forth, like say you keep holding down shift and it's sprinting, you could do some additional checks. But I think most people, when you run out of stamina, they will let go of the shift key, run for a little bit, let it regenerate. Otherwise, you're just going to be going 10% back to 0, 10% back to 0. And that's kind of a minimal use case. But you could go through and adjust that to where as soon as it gets to a certain percentage, it does a check and then it goes back to sprinting if you have the shift down. But we're not going to do that because that's just extra work for something that I think is very minimally a chance of happening. So as you can see, it is sprinting. We'll pick up a weapon here really quick and just see that it slows down. There you go. See, it went back to running when you have a weapon, when it's out of stamina, and then gets them back. I can run again, sprint, and then it goes back to running. So I think that's close to what people are wanting. It seems to operate as intended. You can shift and they actually won't be able to continue sprinting after they run out of stamina. So thank you very much. If you're interested in being a part of our Discord group, make sure you check the description below. And it's a great place to go through and ask questions, to hang out. There's a bunch of developers in there and you can be a part of the community. So thank you very much, and I will talk to you later.